Luke Skywalker's lightsaber is as iconic as it gets, and there's a good chance the Legacy Hilt from Galaxy's Edge will be one of your first. But what do you need to know before you buy? Is this the perfect Legacy lightsaber for your collection? Welcome to Lightsaber Life, where I review every lightsaber I can get my hands on. From Galaxy's Edge, to the Black Series, to baselit, to fancy high-end lightsabers like NeoPixels and Proffies. So let's get to it. The Legacy lightsaber comes with our standard Galaxy's Edge boxing. Here on the button, we've got a beautiful rendition of the Rebel Alliance logo. Now folks, I've got a lot of Luke Skywalker lightsabers in my collection. I don't mean to brag. I've got the Galaxy's Edge Legacy lightsaber, this absolutely sick Proffie from Sabers.
A dark path we walk. I know, there's no other way out.
This high-end beauty. And this little tiny guy right here. The Legacy version of this lightsaber, I have mixed feelings on, but I gotta say there's something nostalgic about holding this hilt. Overall, Disney does a good job with it. If you've got a finer eye for detail, I'm gonna break down what they got right and what they got wrong on the hilt. First of all, we'll go right to the pommel. Very good sound ventilation on this. We've got the belt clip here, which is a triangular shape, and honestly, I love this feature. It is kind of stiff right here. Sometimes you'll get a lightsaber where that is in there a little bit loose and it kind of just clicks all day. This has got a nice shine to it without being too much of a fingerprint machine, and it is exactly the right weight. Here's where you should be able to ignite your lightsaber by either pressing this or flipping this up like you can on the Anakin Padawan lightsaber. Disney chose to go with buttons on the side instead. Don't love this, but it's not the end of the world. You'll notice we've got our light indicators here. That is tough to see. That's green and that's red. Tell you later on in the video why that is incorrect. And also, these do not light up. Here, the iconic grip on the lightsaber, which is the perfect size. Not too big of a lightsaber, just right. Here we've got the neck. This, by the way, is the display emitter. I'll show you what the ignition emitter looks like in a moment. And even though I like this color, it's not accurate. And up top, this is what makes this such an awesome display piece. Having the display emitter there, not every version of Luke's lightsaber comes with this. Gotta give props to Disney for that one. And by the way, this is what I was talking about on the Anakin ignition. It slides right up there. For comparison's sake, this Leia is the Black Series Force Effects Elite version. They are almost exactly the same circumference. You'll see subtle differences there with Luke's pommel to Leia's, but just wanted to throw this in there because the Legacy lightsabers always have a bad rep for being too big. I wish more lightsabers came with this. Here we've got a different emitter. Looks kind of silly around the edge there, but honestly, when you have the blade lit up, you don't notice it. And to install that, this screws off right here. And there we go. Not the prettiest there, but thank goodness we can change these out. Some retail versions of this lightsaber don't have this option. Now, what blade size should you install for this? Something about Luke's lightsaber just screams the screen accuracy approach, so I would recommend a 36-inch blade for this. However, if you do want to spin it around, and this is a spinnable lightsaber, spoiler alert, a 31-inch blade is perfect. A little bit later in the review, I'm going to break down exactly why this is the best retail Luke lightsaber on the market and where it comes short, so you can figure out if those details matter to you. All right, folks, it's time to light this up. 3, 2, 1. Can you imagine? I want you to pay attention close to the ignition. Here we go. Every time I hear that ignition, I don't care which Luke lightsaber it is, it's just special. Did you hear that? One more time. Disney captures the bite of this just so perfectly. I love it. That's a big deal to me. Other retail lightsabers, such as the Black Series, don't do a very good job with this sound. Now, it has decent swing sensitivity. It does not have smooth swing, which is what you'll see on like a NeoPixel and a Proffie lightsaber. Hear a little bit of every time I swing, you'll hear a little bit of an effect. Pulls me right back to Return of the Jedi. Also, we've got some nice flash on clash on this one. Talk about classic Return of the Jedi, listen to this. It's one of the better sound effects that you get on these lightsabers. Now, I do not have much space in here. You see from time to time on my shorts that I usually hit stuff in here. This is the longer blade, the 36, and I'm still spinning it just fine. And I'm only 5'10". Basically 5'11", basically 6 foot. So overall, lots of screen accuracy when it comes to this hilt. The sound, top notch, a little bit on the quiet side, but I would say it's about average. Overall feel, man, if you want to feel like a kid again, who didn't swing around a Luke lightsaber with their buddies? This is very nostalgic for me. You can see kind of the way my hand grips this, it's really solid. The ignition's kind of tough. The sound's perfect, but this is not a button, I should also say. It's a switch up. So you have to do that. The nice thing is your hand doesn't run into it a lot. So if you are spinning it or maybe even lightly dueling with it, you're not going to accidentally turn it off. That's usually a gripe with these lightsabers. It's one of my favorite in the entire Legacy to actually spin around. And let's turn the lights off and see how truly bright this is. Exactly middle of the road, nothing to write home about. I've covered in depth my feelings on the ignition and how I don't love that on the Disney lightsabers. But look at this clash. It's probably difficult to see on camera, but it goes old school yellow, which is totally awesome. That's a beautiful, accurate detail. And again, the sound. Insanely well balanced, by the way. That's where the tipping point is. Almost exactly where you want it to be, right at the emitter. Now folks, later on in the review, I'm gonna reference the NeoPixel and Proffie lightsabers that you can get out there. So I'm gonna turn off the lights again just to show you how bright some of these are. Here's the Proffie from Sabers.
I'm the one you're after. Bring your army. I'm ready.
Every time. So this is smooth swing. Pretty awesome. You hear how it's very, very sensitive? If you want to see a full comparison between a budget lightsaber like the Disney versus a pretty expensive NeoPixel or Proffie, let me know in the comments below. So I want to talk about some cons with this lightsaber that you should know before you buy. I don't think there's anything that is deal breaking here, though the price is kind of creeping up on this. More on that in a moment. But that being said, the button ignition, number one. If you care about this, typically I like this here. I think it should be a slide up or a button right there. I don't love that that is there on the side instead. This is kind of manufactured almost, and you have to slide it up like I said. Not the end of the world, and nice placement if you're gonna kind of twirl it. If you're really paying attention to detail, that might bother you. This one is crazy to me, but they got the colors on the arrows inaccurate. On the Disney one, you'll see the green and red. The red is the upper one. The correct way to display this on the Proffie I have is the reverse. It's the green up and the red below. By the way, they light up on the Proffie.
I won't make it easy.
I had kind of studied up before I bought the Legacy version of this lightsaber, and I had heard that those buttons were incorrect, and I was like, are you serious?
You serious, Clark?
But I bought it anyway. Now, another thing to note is I believe this is supposed to be based off of the Book of Boba Fett version. Take it back for a sec. There's those 2 episodes of Mandalorian smack dab in the middle of Book of Boba Fett where Luke is training Grogu. I believe that is what this is based off of. So take that for what it's worth. Another thing to note, I don't think it's outright egregious, but it's not right. It's the color here. This is just a little too almost gold for me. On the Proffie is more accurate. It's like that faded, almost bronze. That is what you would see on most versions of this lightsaber. We know there's several from the movie because of the various props they used, but to me, this is the more definitive version for that. Now, the Black Series version is even different from this, and that one's just clearly wrong to me. So I like what Disney did with that better. And the kind of the fourth thing I want to mention is there's a lot of limits when it comes to the blades for Legacy lightsabers. They don't do much at all. They don't change color. They have just the one real effect. They don't ignite beautifully. They're fine. They're totally fine. But if you're looking for advanced features and kind of high-end items that you can mess with, this is not the way. This is not the way.
This is the way.
I'm gonna have to copyright that one. So that being said, I've kind of given you a mixed bag of critiques here. Who is this lightsaber for? Well, first of all, me, because I willingly bought it. If you're seeking your first Legacy lightsaber, maybe you're going to Galaxy's Edge for the first time, you can't go wrong with this one. This is iconic, it's classic. It's one of the lightsabers you probably dreamed of the first time you saw the original trilogy. So in that sense, go get it if you want it. If you're a budget collector, if you want to fill up your wall with these lightsabers and don't care so much about the features, get this lightsaber. With the display emitter, this one looks great. And third, if you like to cosplay, this clip here makes it really easy. And the weight of this is average, if not just below average. So you don't have to worry about it kind of throwing your back off kilt for the day. Plus, if you want to actually spin this around and do some tricks with it, you can. It's not as easy or as flashy as, let's say, like a baselit dueling lightsaber, which is pretty thin. This will still do the trick. So who should skip this lightsaber? First of all, if you're looking for premium blade features, you can do better. Second of all, if you care about sound features and different sound fonts and being able to change that, this one only has the Luke Skywalker bass sound, which is perfect, but you can't change it. And lastly, if you don't already have a blade, this lightsaber becomes basically $50 more. You have to buy a blade to play with it. If you want it on your wall, that's a different story, but come on, you gotta light this thing up at least once. Come on. This lightsaber retails right now for $199 US without a blade. Let that soak in. If you already have a blade from other Legacy lightsabers, 99% of them will work with this and you're fine. But your $200 lightsaber becomes a $250 lightsaber plus tax and shipping. At that price point,
I'm out.
You are so close to being able to get a higher end NeoPixel lightsaber. I would just bridge the gap if you can do it. So my final verdict is this lightsaber is not for everyone. It does a lot of things very well and a lot of things not so well. It's middle tier in terms of Legacy lightsabers, but let's be honest, the nostalgia behind it is so iconic. It's a great starting point, especially if you plan on collecting lightsabers for the long haul. If you made it this far in the review, thanks so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. And if you want to see a full in-depth review on a high-end, fancy Proffie lightsaber,
You don't know what you're facing. You won't go any farther.
that is your next video to watch right now. Here's where the fun begins.